Hello, I'm doing a movie review, and the movie I want to review is Superman Batman Public Enemies. Now, I have Public Enemies on this DVD set where it also comes with the movie Superman Batman Apocalypse. Now, Public Enemies is an animated film which was released straight to DVD in 2009, and it's part of a series of animated features from DC. Now, the plot of Public Enemies is it begins where America is facing a major economic recession, which is threatening to plunge the entire country into complete chaos. So Lex Luthor ends up running for president, and of course a lot of people don't really trust him, but because he has ideas which could possibly get America out of this recession, he ends up getting elected to be president of the United States. And he pretty much does everything he's promised. Like, he fixes the economy and everything seems to be great now, but what he also does is he makes it where superheroes can work for the government, but of course Superman doesn't do this because Superman doesn't trust Lex Luthor, and what ends up happening is a meteor starts heading towards Earth, threatening to completely devastate the planet, and this meteor is made out of pure kryptonite, and apparently it's like a piece of Krypton, which is now hurtling towards Earth. So now Lex Luthor has this plan to launch missiles at the meteor, but a lot of people don't think this is gonna work, and a lot of people are trying to get Lex Luthor to use superheroes to go up there and try to destroy this meteor. So in the movie, Lex Luthor, he manages to make it look like Superman is going crazy because of the radiation coming from this kryptonite meteor, and kryptonite, of course, is Superman's major weakness. So what happens is he ends up placing a bounty on Superman for $1 billion, you know, for anybody who could capture Superman. So pretty much tons of, like, the major villains start going after Superman, and, you know, now a lot of the superheroes who are working for the government are also going after Superman, and now Batman has become, he's really become kind of like Superman's only ally now, and he's trying to help Superman, and together Batman and Superman, they're trying to, you know, they're both trying to stop this meteor, but also they're trying to prove that Superman isn't going crazy because of the kryptonite radiation. And in the movie, Lex Luthor is also injecting himself with kryptonite, and this is actually starting to make him go insane. Now, in the movie, Superman is voiced by Tim Daly, who also voiced Superman in Superman the Animated Series, and Batman is voiced by Kevin Conroy, who also played the voice of Batman in Batman the Animated Series, and Lex Luthor is voiced by Clancy Brown, who played the voice of Lex Luthor in Superman the Animated Series and Justice League the Animated Series. And C.C.H. Pounder also plays the voice of Amanda Waller in the movie, and she played the voice of Amanda Waller in the show Justice League Unlimited. But this movie is not set in the same continuity as Batman the Animated Series, or Superman the Animated Series, or the animated Justice League series. Like, this movie's set within its own continuity. Now, Superman Batman Public Enemies, I liked this movie, but I do feel like this movie had a lot of problems. And now this movie's based on a comic book story arc written by Jeff Loeb, I believe, and apparently this movie's actually really true to this story, to the comic book story arc, and apparently a lot of this movie's problems were actually problems in the comic. But, yo, the major problem I have with this movie is the movie starts out really freaking dark. Like, it starts out where you see riots in the street and you realize that there's this economic recession happening. And of course, this movie came out back when America was actually facing an economic recession, you know, so the film was definitely kind of reflecting on real life, you know, so it starts out very dark and very thought-provoking. But as the movie goes on, it starts to get really corny and really cheesy, which I'm fine with that. I'm fine with a cheesy kind of superhero story, but it's just, it starts out so dark and ends so corny that the tone doesn't really match. Like, the tone of the beginning doesn't really match the tone of the ending, because this is a slight spoiler, but the way they stop the meteor in the movie, it has to do with a giant robot designed by this Japanese kid who's like a genius, and it just looks so corny at the end of it. And the thing is, though, that would be fine if this was a movie intended for kids, but this movie's actually marketed more towards adults because you have a lot of cursing in this and stuff like that, you know, so it's made as more of an adult superhero story, yet it has this really childish ending where a giant robot, you know, goes flying into the, you know, meteor at the end of it to destroy it. I don't know, it's just tonally it doesn't really match the beginning, which is very dark, and then it ends with it being very corny, really, you know. But besides that, I thought it was very entertaining. Like, I was entertained by this movie. You know, I had problems with it. You know, it starts out really thought-provoking, but just ends kind of stupid. Like, the way it ends, I was just like, this is kind of dumb. You know, like, that would be fine if it was something completely intended for kids, but this is meant to be more of an adult superhero story, so, you know, what I mean is, like, it almost feels like this movie didn't know who its audience was supposed to be. Also, I wasn't really too big on the way Superman and Batman looked in the movie. Like, I don't know, the animation for them really didn't work for me. I mean, everything else, like, their surroundings, the animation was fine, but for them themselves, I just didn't really care for the way they were animated. But yeah, that's my review on Superman, Batman, Public Enemies. It's an alright movie. I would recommend it, especially if you're a Superman and Batman fan, or just a fan of superhero movies, but it wasn't the best, though. At least not in my opinion.